there anything about your background specifically that Howard, your previous experiences, whether they be in your legal career or before your legal career, that kind of uniquely positions you for this work?
Yes, I'd like to think there is. So, I started out as a federal agent and spent many, many years with Health and Human Services, one as a field agent and two then as a supervisor in Philadelphia, doing healthcare fraud cases for the federal government, working with the United States Attorney's Office in developing those cases and prosecuting those cases. I then left the federal government, law enforcement, and went to law school, and at the same time worked initially at the Hartford insurance company here in Hartford, developing their Office of Investigations, if you will, to do healthcare fraud investigations for the Hartford, and ended up at the life company in Simsbury, and then went to Phoenix Mutual and became a corporate officer, and also took care of all their investigations across all their product lines. So that's kind of my background. So I dealt with the SIUs and the Special Investigative Units and all these insurance companies, and realized that what they were doing, we could probably kind of mirroring what the federal government does for the Medicare program, and create a kind of unique practice that would meet a need. So in 1993, I went to that other firm Stephanie mentioned, and began to develop computer software programs that could take commercial payers' data and work through it to find liability and damages, which was unique. And we actually started to do group cases where we had at one point almost 23 clients across the United States on one case, where we then had to homogenize, if you will, everyone's data so that we could come up with liability and damage across the board. So that's kind of my background, and what ends up happening is that we decided to do it in a different way. We decided to do the business-to-business approach to resolve the cases in pre-litigation rather than the traditional way of immediately drafting a complaint and then suing and then working our way through traditional litigation.
And just briefly, how long does that pre-litigation or before you file a complaint, how long can that investigation, that business-to-business model that you're talking about, how long does that typically last? I assume it depends on a variety of factors, but.
Yes, and we learned some painful lessons about how long a defendant, if they wanted to, could drag this out. So in the lessons learned department, a number of years ago, we decided that, in the litigation, you have a scheduling order, and the judge kind of keeps your feet to the fire so that you have to respond at certain times in certain places, and it moves the case forward. So what we've been doing of late is that we develop a kind of a letter of what our expectations are. Besides, there's another important piece here is that in order to enter into this business-to-business negotiation, the provider needs to provide us with a tolling agreement and a confidentiality agreement and a standstill agreement. So we're not penalized by trying to do this in pre-litigation. We don't lose claims on the back end. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the threshold issue. And then we through a letter, kind of lay out what the timeframes are so that we can hold their feet to the fire, we can move the case forward to resolution, and we can figure out if in fact their only strategy is delay.
Mm-hmm.